Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint by Sing Shong. Chapter 79. The Fifth Scenario. Part 4. I gasped and asked, "What? Is it over?" "No, that is." "Then what am I doing wrong?" "To be precise. Don't drag it out and tell me quickly." "It is all wrong." It was so sincere that I sat down like I had received a nuclear punch. I breathed roughly and looked up at the sky. All of a sudden, the great hall floating in the sky seemed bigger. It seemed to be mocking me. Lycaon looked at me and prepared for the kill. "Protector, you don't have any qualities suited for Way of the Wind." "No, to be honest, you don't have the qualities for almost every skill. If this went wrong, the world might perish because of me." A few more hours passed like this, and then days went by. There were 8 days left until the start of the fifth scenario. I didn't give up and continued to learn Way of the Wind. Of course, it wasn't possible. Protector, it is better to give up, why can't I learn it?" Han Suyang giggled beside me and said, "Why?" "It is because you have no talent." "That isn't possible." "Why not?" "You aren't the protagonist." "Do you think that you became Yu Jong-hyuk because you have been doing a good job lately?" My chest was sore like I had been stabbed. I spoke with a frown, but I understand everything in my head. "Ah, yes. Everyone thinks they can go to Seoul National University." I'm telling the truth. I remembered most of the enlightenment associated with Way of the Wind. I felt so frustrated 1 hour ago that I got a second battery from the survivors and read the text again. There is a gale in the right hand and a storm in the left hand. The Way of the Wind will be opened when the straight lines and the curse meet. How? You really understand it. Lycaon felt admiration from where he was listening to me. In fact, the words I just muttered was Yu Jong-hyuk's enlightenment in Ways of Survival. In Ways of Survival, Yu Jong-hyuk gained insight in a single phrase followed by a Chinese character. He learned Way of the Wind in just 5 minutes. But it wasn't that simple, and I had wasted 2 days already. "How can I do this?" I grumbled. "Huh? You just said it, there is no representation more accurate than that." "No, it was a metaphor." "Your words weren't a metaphor." It was enough to make me go crazy. This time, the problem wasn't solved by the writer's description in Ways of Survival. It was because the explanation was just complete noise to me, and the fourth wall was also useless at this moment. Fourth wall gave me judgment and calmness, but it didn't give me talent. I felt a little feverish as I spoke to Lycaon. "Then you should try this. One wind will meet another wind to form yin and yang. Once again, one wind will meet another wind to form the principles of negative and positive." Yin and yang was a concept from Earth, but Lycaon understood it instantly. "How could you have gained such profound insight?" "Don't just speak it, spread it directly through your body." "So it is like this." Lycaon concentrated, and winds from different directions started to form around him. The two winds swirled, adding a hot and cold energy to the wind. To be honest, I thought it was ridiculous. He just heard it and could carry out the technique instantly? Then why couldn't I do the same? My pride was provoked. "Then how about this? 4 winds meet and form a defense. Then another 4 winds are added, making it the 8 trigrams. Therefore, wind is everywhere, yet exists nowhere. Can you do this as well?" This sentence was the enlightenment that Yu Jong-hyuk gained in the 9th round of regression. This time, Lycaon made a puzzled expression. I spoke in a triumphant voice. "You can't? This is how I am feeling." "Pushav, no, Protector. I really appreciate it." "What?" "The 5th grade otherworld species, Prince Lycaon of the Imyantar, has received great enlightenment." Lycaon suddenly turned and started practicing. "You have a great impact on the evolution of Prince Lycaon of the Imyantar. Lycaon of the Imyantar feels a great appreciation towards you. Some constellations from the ruined world, Kronos, thanks you. 2,000 coins have been sponsored." I finally figured out what was going on. That damn wolf gained enlightenment by hearing what I said. Han Soo-young was laughing so hard that she was holding her belly. I felt belated frustration. Maybe I knew ways of survival, but I didn't know anything about myself. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband admires your patience. The constellation Secretive Plotter is disappointed in your weakness. Looking at the system messages appearing in the air, I thought about signing a contract with a sponsor. Of course, it was impossible due to the contract with Bai Hyung. So why did you break the throne? Fool. I looked up and saw a transparent figure floating in the air. I opened the Dakibi communication. Is it okay to talk now? What about the intermediate Dakibi? He won't come for a while. He is being properly disciplined. He won't come before the 5th scenario opens. My channel also upgraded again. Hopefully I can reach the intermediate level next month. It is all thanks to you. That's good. Why don't you look happy? It is also good for you if I do well. You will be busy when you reach intermediate level. Bai Hyung laughed at my words. Brat, don't worry. I don't know about other incarnations, but won't I look after you? These days there are many intermediate Dakibi at the bureau, but it is noisy because some bastards are twisting their probabilities extensively. I didn't need him to tell me who it was. Oh, of course it isn't you. It was completely Yu Jonghyuk. In fact, Yu Jonghyuk's growth rate was impossible through any possibilities. He was growing at a rate that was close to a cheat. There is one abnormally fast and growing guy and the bureau can't touch him. I think his sponsor is probably a formidable guy. Perhaps Yu Jonghyuk's possibilities wouldn't be a problem in the future. In the end, the possibility wasn't a problem if there was a constellation capable of that possibility. And it was possible for Yu Jonghyuk's sponsor. By the way, why don't you buy a growth package? I'll sell it for a cheap price if you buy it now. Aren't you suffering right now because you can't learn that skill? This package. I won't buy it. In any case, isn't the growth package only applicable to skills already learned? Did you show up just to eat money? The growth package had a penalty when abused. It was why even the powerful Yu Jonghyuk didn't use the growth package. Sheesh, you knew. Bai Hyung muttered with a dissatisfied expression. But it is time to buy something. Coins possessed, 62,372 I still had a lot of coins, despite raising my stats due to selling the Fire Dragon parts. If I had 40,000 more coins, I would have bought Sky Dragon steps, but I couldn't this time. Bai Hyung's face became rosy. Oh, really? What do you want to buy? Aren't you going to receive new coin items soon? How do you know? Did you plant a mole? It is natural since a new scenario will open soon. At that time, tell me. I'll buy it. Oh, you will. I turned off the Dakibi communication. I didn't want to talk to him when there was nothing to say. I looked back and Lycaon was still gaining enlightenment. Han Soo-young approached me and raised her chin. Hey, what are you going to do now? I don't know. I'm still thinking. Then let me learn it. What? Or let the other survivors learn it. I looked at the people around us. It was 2 days after the coin farms collapsed. The rescued survivors were working together and caring for the other wounded. The atmosphere was quite different from the survivors of Deputy Yoon's coin farm. Perhaps Han Soo-young's hypocrisy-filled good deeds had changed them. It turned out that hypocrisy was a good thing. Han Soo-young opened her mouth again. Isn't it just learning Way of the Wind? Does it matter who learns it? Right, anyone can learn it. Why do you insist on being the one to learn it? Are you trying to get the attention of the constellations alone? It wasn't wrong, but it wasn't exactly right. Only people with the protection medallion can learn Way of the Wind. Then give it to me. It isn't transferable. The character Han Soo-young has confirmed that the statement is true. This woman really. You are the first person who is more suspicious than Yu Jonghyuk. you brought it up. This skill, Yu Jong-hyuk should have originally learned it? That's right. Then why do you have to go through this trouble? You can leave it to Yu Jong-hyuk. It isn't too late now, so let's go find Yu Jong-hyuk. He is growing well. That guy would manage it somehow. Yu Jong-hyuk doesn't listen to what other people will say. I'll tempt him. I stared at Han Soo-young before looking away. Yu Jong-hyuk doesn't like the body of a child. Are you ignoring me now? Besides, there is also a problem in finding Yu Jong-hyuk. Even Yu Jong-hyuk couldn't learn Way of the Wind without the protection medallion. It meant the medallion needed to be taken from me, but ownership wouldn't be released until I died. In other words, Yu Jong-hyuk must kill me. Besides, even if he had the medallion, you know that I beat him up pretty badly in the end. Once we meet, he will definitely try to kill me. Yu Jong-hyuk flew from my punch, filled with 100 strength. In the meantime, the eyes that wanted to tear me to pieces was still vivid. Well, he was really bold when he cut off my head. Han Soo-young stroked her neck as memories of Chunmuro Station surfaced. Besides, finding out where he is now. At this time, an uproar was heard in the distance. There is someone injured. Please help. It is serious. Someone had found a wounded person nearby. The constellation demon-like Judge of Fire is looking forward to your comradeship. Some constellations are expecting you to treat the wounded. The messages of the constellations, including Oriel, arrived. What was going on? I took Han Soo-young and headed there. After a while, I found the cause of the problem and glared at Bai-hyung floating in the air. Bai-hyung sniggered at me. I didn't know about this. The bleeding Yu Jong-hyuk was waiting for me there. Chapter 80. The Fifth Scenario. Part 5. I stepped away from the bleeding Yu Jong-hyuk lying down and spoke to Bai-hyung. Is this your doing? Even if Yu Jong-hyuk was nearby, he couldn't be found in such a timely manner. It was clear that Bai-hyung had made a sub-scenario to bring Yu Jong-hyuk over here. Are you suspecting me? Is there evidence? There was no evidence, but I felt it in my heart. The constellation demon-like Judge of Fire is concerned with your judgment. 500 coins have been sponsored. I felt a strong belief. Han Soo-young whispered to me as I looked down at Yu Jong-hyuk with a dumb expression. We found him. What are you going to do? What else? Shouldn't you save him? This jerk, he is the protagonist. Of course I had to save him. However, if I saved this bastard, I would surely die. Han Soo-young looked scared that Yu Jong-hyuk would wake up straight away. Do you have anything that will restrain him? Yu Jong-hyuk won't tolerate them. Lock him up. Then he will commit suicide. But if he goes back... Damn, what will happen if he regresses? Han Soo-young belatedly came to this realization. What would happen to this world if Yu Jong-hyuk went back? It was one of my biggest challenges living in this world. We have to stop it. Nobody knows what will happen. It was right to assume the worst when things were unknown. If I made a mistake and the world was reset, my existence would disappear. By the way, how did this jerk end up like this? I looked closely at him. There was a wound around the belly. All internal organs and ribs were broken. It felt like someone incredibly powerful had hit Yu Jong-hyuk in one blow. At this moment, I stared blankly at my fist. Perhaps? What is with that expression? Why is your face suddenly dark? It is nothing. All of a sudden, I was convinced. He was hit with a fist filled with 100 strength. Then he had been like this for 2 days. I felt sorry with the benefit of hindsight. With this, it might not be possible to restore my relationship with Yu Jong-hyuk. As I slowly looked from his belly to his face, I took a few steps back because I got goosebumps. Shit. Yu Jong-hyuk was staring at me with bloody and teary eyes. His lips were moving and he was obviously saying something like dead, Kim Dokja. I thought Han Soo-young was beside me, but she had run away as quickly as possible. I shouted towards Yu Jonghyuk from a distance. Hey! Can't you release your anger? Wasn't it a fair fight? Didn't you try to kill me as well? Yu Jonghyuk's eyes didn't change. Damn it. I had no choice. Yu Jonghyuk had to survive here, even if he killed me. I might be able to stop the disaster of questions without Yu Jonghyuk, but I wouldn't be able to prevent the other disasters, and the world would be destroyed. Why was the protagonist of Ways of Survival such a person? The story would have been easier if it was Lee Hyun-sung or Young Hee-won. This wasn't the time for complaints. I decided to use a skill. It was obvious what he was thinking, but I needed to check. Exclusive skill, Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint Stage 2 has been activated. At this moment, something amazing happened. Kim Dokja. My eyes widened as I watched Yu Jonghyuk. Did he just call out to me? You can hear my words. Isn't that right? If I look back at what you have done so far. What? Say that you can hear me. If you don't move now, the world will. I looked at him in a slightly confused state. It was my mistake. Damn it. Yu Jonghyuk's eyes slowly closed. I hesitated for a moment before approaching you. Jonghyuk. Yu Jonghyuk didn't seem to have the power to fight me at all in this state. Besides, I didn't see any animosity towards me. Yu Jonghyuk. Can you hear me? Yu Jonghyuk struggled to raise his eyelids, only to close them again. It was strange. No matter how badly wounded he was, he would have automatically triggered recovery when he was hit. Then why was he still in this state? The exclusive skill, character list is activated. There is too much information about this person. Character list is converted to summary list. Plus. Character list. Name, Yu Jonghyuk. Private attribute, Regressor, Third Turn, Myth, Pro Gamer, Rare, Supreme King, Hero. Exclusive skills, Sage's Eyes LV8, Hand-to-Hand Combat LV9, Advanced Weapons Training LV8, Mental Barrier LV6, 100 Steps Godly Fists LV6, Red Phoenix Shuanpa LV6. Omitted. Stigma, Regression LV3, Transmission LV3. Overall stats, Physique LV60, Strength LV60, Agility LV60, Magic Power LV60. Asterisk currently in an abnormal condition. Asterisk currently, this person is affected by the Thousand Spirits poison. Plus. There were no problems with his stats. Yu Jonghyuk was still one of the strongest incarnations in Seoul, and his skills had grown compared to the last time I saw him. The problem was his abnormal status. Yu Jonghyuk didn't have the skills 1000 poisons resistance or immunity to 10,000 poisons yet. Therefore, poison was currently one of Yu Jonghyuk's few weaknesses. He was like this because he was poisoned. I looked closer and saw that there were blue blood vessels all over his body. It hadn't been long since he was poisoned. Fortunately, he was still alive. But it was strange. I knew of only one person who could infect Yu Jonghyuk with Thousand Spirits poison at this time. A woman watching me in the distance asked, are you Kim Dokja Sesai? I nodded. I looked at the woman who brought Yu Jonghyuk here. He was like this the whole time. He kept asking me to take him to Kim Dokja, Yu Jonghyuk? I looked down at Yu Jonghyuk's face, which was more blue-tinged than before, and instantly had many thoughts. The terrified Han Soo-young, who had been fleeing, came back. Hey, what's going on? Han Soo-young poked my shoulder, but I didn't answer. I struggled for a moment before speaking to Bai-hyung. Bai-hyung, open the Dakibi bag. Now do you understand? This wasn't my doing. Open the bag. After confirming my remaining coins, I found a coin item that could cure Yu Jonghyuk. He was affected by the Thousand Spirits poison, so it couldn't be removed simply by eating the Elaine Forest essence. I quickly turned on the text and checked some of the ingredients before purchasing items from the Dakibi bag. You have purchased 1 midday tryst. You have purchased 1 old barber branch. You have purchased 2 Putna Dalton horns. You have purchased 1 detox potato. You have purchased 2 Aintern Temples purification water. You have purchased 1 Elaine forest essence. A total of 7,370 coins are consumed. It was an unexpected bleeding service. I asked the survivors around me for a small bucket, lit the magic power stove and poured the ingredients into it. Han Suyang asked, "What are you going to make?" "An antidote." "Did you decide to save him?" I nodded and replied, "This bastard, he came to me deliberately." "Deliberately? Why?" "I don't know." "Did he come to ask you for help?" "I don't think Yu Jonghyuk would come all this way to kill you." "That is impossible for Yu Jonghyuk." "How do you know?" "I know. He is that type of bastard." I adjusted the flames of the stove. Fire blazed and the contents in the bucket started to boil. Based on the color and form, it looked like food from the Death Valley goblins. It might seem terrible, but this soup was an excellent antidote. Han Suyang placed her hands on her knees and stared at the terrible food. By the way, was Yu Jonghyuk such a bad person in ways of survival? What? It was a thought that I had. Didn't Yu Jonghyuk save a lot of people and do good deeds? Of course, he is like a psychopath, but isn't he moving for the people? He is fighting to save the world. I don't want to admit it, because I am a bad person. When I thought about it, Han Suyang's words weren't completely wrong. I laughed and said, "Your defense of Yu Jonghyuk is energetic, because you haven't read as far as me. But that is that, and this is this. You can't judge people by only looking at one side." It was an unexpected conversation, so I looked up at Han Suyang for a while. Han Suyang was smiling coldly. "No matter how much you claim that my work is plagiarism, it has actually never been affected by ways of survival. You almost convinced me without saying that. It is a real pity." I said this, but my mind was a bit complicated. What type of person was Yu Jonghyuk? Could I really say that I was familiar with the existence of Yu Jonghyuk? I was able to confidently answer until a while ago. I was the only reader who read all of Ways of Survival. But I felt that some of my answers were being diluted in the soup. Did I know Yu Jonghyuk at all? Not long after that, the soup started boiling. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is impressed with your good deed. The constellations of the Absolute Good system support your good deed. 3,000 coins have been sponsored. It was rare for a person to be damaged by sponsorship. Shit. I approached Yu Jonghyuk with the soup. Han Suyang brought me a spoon from a nearby store. I scooped up the soup with the spoon and put it in Yu Jonghyuk's mouth. Han Suyang watched me blowing on the soup. "You are acting like a wife. Do you want to do this?" "I don't want to. In fact, I wouldn't have given the job to her anyway." It was due to the system message that I heard every time I scooped up a spoonful of soup. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is impressed with your good deed. 500 coins have been sponsored. It was tremendous to receive coins every time I fed him. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is impressed with your good deed. 300 coins have been sponsored. I thought it was a loss to me, but it turned out to be a huge honey event. Indeed, people should live a good life. However, I started to feel a bit strange after 10 spoonfuls. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is impressed with your good deed. 400 coins have been sponsored. Was this constellation really impressed with the good deed? Would it last until the bowl was empty? Yu Jonghyuk started to open his eyes with a slight groan. He was still in bad shape, but he was gradually healing from the poison. I didn't miss his opportunity and took out one item. "You have used the midday tryst. You are seeking consent from the target." Midday tryst was an item that allowed for a one-on-one conversation with the selected target for a specified time period. If I had a bit more coins, I would have learned the sound transmission skill, but I didn't have that much to spare. Therefore, I chose the next best thing. The target has agreed to communicate with you. The midday tryst has started. Once I sent a message to Yu Jonghyuk, a small messenger window emerged in front of me. Hey, can you hear me? The connection was formed. I purchased this item for 3 reasons. One was because Yu Jonghyuk's tongue was paralyzed by the effect of Thousand Spirits poison, and the second reason was to avoid leaking information to Han Sooyoung. The third and most important reason was that I didn't want to confirm to Yu Jonghyuk that I could read his thoughts. The next moment, Yu Jonghyuk's message came up. Kim Dokja, move to the east right now.